Hello everybody, I hope you're doing well. It's been a long time, but I got myself a new console, something that I've been looking forward to getting ever since the 1990s, and I thought I'd make a little video about it. Okay, so ever since the 90s, the early 90s, I've always wanted one of these. This is, of course, the premium console that came out in 1991, the Neo Geo Advanced Entertainment System. It isn't really a console, it's actually just the hardware from the Neo Geo MVS system that then they consoleized. It was meant to just be for rentals, but then it kind of took off, and so they started selling a few more, and then yes, it turned into this big collector's item because it was so expensive back then. I didn't know anybody who had one. Literally nobody I knew had one of these because they were so expensive. People had Mega Drives, people had Super Nintendos, but nobody had Neo Geos because they were 2-3 times the price. And then the games were just astronomical as well because they were pretty much just arcade versions on cartridges. Instead of the MVS cartridge types, it was the AES cartridge types for home use. They were $200 minimum. Compare that to Super Nintendo, Mega Drive ports of those games, which were obviously a lot cheaper, 60, 70 pounds or so. As I've said, I've always wanted one of these just because they were the pinnacle of gaming back in the 90s. The 2D sprite work was amazing, the colors were beautiful, and it was arcade perfect. It was literally an arcade machine, but in your house. In fact, I don't see them coming up that often. Obviously, you can see them on eBay, but I got my one off of a Facebook Marketplace advert. I think in the time that I've been collecting computer games over the last 5 or 6 years whilst being in Australia, I haven't seen that many come up on like Gumtree or Facebook. This one came up, came up at like the market rate. It's not like I got a good deal. It wasn't like this was just found in the rubbish or anything like that. I actually paid some money for this one, and it came with the arcade stick, which usually comes with Neo Geo CD, which is okay, that's fine. And it came with, and it's a Japanese version of the console, and it came with a Japanese copy of Final Fight Special. That's all it's got. I did go to eBay and buy an original AES fighting stick, and I got that from Japan, and that in itself cost me quite a bit of money. That was like maybe $150, don't tell my wife. You can see it was expensive back then. It's even more expensive now. So in terms of the pros and cons I talked about at the start of the video, the pros are it's still really cool to have. I love having it. I like playing it. In terms of cons, I don't think I'm going to get much of a big collection because the games are astronomical. If you have a look on eBay, the AES games are just insane. Like some of the games are insane. If you want Metal Slug X or Metal Slug 3 or 4 or whatever, or if you want, I don't know, what other games would I like? I'd like to get Blazing Star. I'd like to have a few shooters like Aero Fighters, something like that. Yeah, the games are just so expensive. You're talking maybe $100 for a Japanese cartridge on its own, loose cartridge maybe, for a common one. So, like Samurai Showdown or something like that. So $100 for a cartridge. And then if you want it in the box, the Japanese version, like depending on the game, right? But you're kind of looking at like 200 plus. If you want the English versions, so like the US release, then, and depending on the game and if you want it in good condition, the prices just goes sky high. In fact, there are games, like the most rarest games on there, they're like $10,000 or something like that. So I don't expect to get a big collection of AES things. You can get converter cartridges. So you can put the converter cartridge into your AES, which then takes the MVS cartridges. So the MVS cartridges are what used to go into the MVS arcade machines. They are cheaper, they are more readily available, you can find those. The converter is still quite expensive, so that's not something that I'm going to do. I mentioned the Japanese games are cheaper, which is good, and you can get these you can modify your AES with the Unibios chip. So that then changes the BIOS chip of my Japanese AES. It will make it Unibios so that you can then select if you want Japanese or European or American language options, for example. So then you could put a Japanese cartridge into your machine, use the Unibios to change the region to America or Europe, and then you get English language come up on the screen. Interestingly, it's the console which dictates the region and therefore the language, not the cartridges. So you can use any cartridge from Japan or America into the system. So yeah, so I could get an MVS converter, or I could just sell my house and buy some more Neo Geo games that way. Or the other option is that there is a decent flash card option, or at least there are two options actually. There's a Terra Onion version called the NeoSD or the NeoSD Pro, and there's also a one from Darksoft, their Darksoft cartridge. Now, unfortunately, it's really expensive. It's like $500 Australian, but that's okay, because when you consider that, or when you compare that to prices of collecting proper cartridges, then being able to have every single Neo Geo ROM on a flash card playing on the system itself, that's kind of okay. There's $500 versus I don't know, like $200,000 or whatever the total price of a full collection is. In fact, I think I've been reading on forums that there's probably only like a handful of people in the world that have a full collection of AES cartridge, because they're so rare and expensive. Now, unfortunately for me, I did buy the NeoSD cart from Stone Age Gamer. So they went with DHL, and even in these trying times, DHL delivered it very quickly, within 4 days or something, 4 business days or something like that. I was so excited. I plugged it in, and I had issues with sprites. Unfortunately, my cartridge, depending on all the games, I tried many different ROM sets and all sorts of things. It didn't work, and I was like, damn, if this doesn't work, then I'm not going to be able to play any other games apart from Final Fight Special. Not Final Fight. Then I won't be able to play any games apart from Fatal Fury Special. A bit of a bummer, because it's quite an expensive system, and I kind of bought it because I wanted to try all these different games. I wanted all the shooters and Baseball Stars 2 and heaps of other games that I wanted to try out. So I've had to send it back. So actually I went through Terra Onion support, and they said, we tried a few things. But they said, send it back to Stone Age Gamer, which is in like America. So I've got to post it back, which cost me like $50. But anyway, so at the moment it's on its way back to them. They are hopefully going to look at it, troubleshoot it. I believe they think that I need a firmware fix for it, which they didn't know about that, so they couldn't send me the firmware, because I just returned it like within a few days of receiving it. But yeah, hopefully Stone Age Gamer can like replicate the issues. They've got my ROMs on the SD card. They can double check it. They can make sure it works, and then they're gonna send it back to me, and I will be able to play the entire catalog of Neo Geo AES games on the Neo SD. Now I went with the Neo SD because it was $400 compared to the Neo SD Pro, which has some better functionality. You can kind of have like 4 or 5 games kind of pre-selected that run really quickly. But that was like $600 or something like that, $650, and it was sold out. So I just got the cheaper one because I'm a bit cheaper. Although I'm not that cheap because Neo Geo is so expensive. But it is, honestly, it is awesome. I love having the arcade stick. It plays really nicely. The stick itself is great. The buttons are a little disappointing. I was expecting them to be a little bit clicky like an arcade machine, but they're not. But that's okay. And also, now, you're not going to believe this, right? So in Australia, I always talk about hard rubbish, which is a thing every quarter, every 3 months. You can just like dump all the stuff from your house on the street, like on the curb, and the council will come and pick it all up. And on my street, people are always throwing stuff out, which is really good for me as a retro gamer. So I've picked up a steering wheel. I've picked up. I remember I picked up a copy of Metal Gear Solid for the PlayStation 1, just buried in some like stuff. But anyway, what I did find last time that was hard rubbish was a small CRT TV. So I took that as a little TIAC. It's a mono set, like 34 centimeters, nice and small. It's not perfect. It does have some issues with the screen. It probably needs a recap or something like that in a particular place, but it sits really nicely on my bedside. So I put this is how much I like the Neo Geo. I've put it with this little TV, this little CRT TV on my bedside table. Like, so my bed's here and the Neo Geo is like within touching distance, so I can wake up and I'll just plug it in. I'll try and play Fatal Fury Special, which I'm terrible. I must admit, I am terrible at fighting games. As you know from this channel, I am mostly into retro computers, and you don't really play like fighting games on retro computers, right? Or didn't really play fighting games on PC back then, so fighting games are not my thing. But because I've only got one game, and because it's so expensive, this damn console, I've been playing that game a lot, and I can now beat it on the easiest difficulty setting with one carrier, with with this Thai boxer guy. I've mastered his moves. Got like 3 special moves. It's quite simple. But yeah, that's a pro of only having one game. Is it actually makes you want to play it, and you don't just keep flitting around lots of other games. I can imagine when the NeoSD comes, and assuming it works, which I really hope it does, I'm just going to be swapping and changing games all the time. But right now, I have one game for this console. Been waiting 30 years for this console. I'm going to play that goddamn game, and I'm going to play it all the time and get my money's worth, which is going to take like months. Anyway, I thought I'd just tell you that story just because it's a really cool little system, and it's very expensive, but it is like having an arcade. It is an arcade, and having that in my bedroom, like right next to my bed. My wife thinks I'm nuts. My wife thinks I probably am. Anyway, a different style of video today, because my wife has taken the kids to her parents, and it's kind of nighttime at the moment, but I wanted to do a video, so I just very quickly knocked this up. If you like the video, or if you want to see more videos like this, then put a comment in the comments, and we'll do that. I've got a few more PCs that I'm still working through, but I've had some other console stuff come in over the last few weeks, and I've been playing a lot of them. So I've been spending too much time playing games rather than making videos, so I apologize for that in advance. And yeah, tell me what you think in the comments. If you like this type of video, if you like this style of video, I can totally do more of these. I can mix them up between some of those kind of historical videos I was doing, plus some of the retro hardware videos I was doing, plus I could do some more of these. So tell me what you think. I know I don't have that many subscribers. I really appreciate all of you that have subscribed. I really appreciate all of you that have subscribed and then actually watch some of my videos. And I even more appreciate those of you who comment and like it cheers me up when I read your comments. It really does cheer me up and brings a smile to my face in these funny times. Anyway, if you've got any funny stories about consoles, if you've picked up any consoles recently, tell me all about it. I'd love to hear. All right, have a good one. See you in the next one.